then it was changed to 7.5 magnitude. And the place that occurred, Sandy coast, and that was 100 kilometers from Miyako, and the depth is about 10 kilometers, and the largest registered of Japanese seismic scale is 5 upper, and for Hokkaido to Kinki area, that's between magnitude 5, and then there is by magnitude 1, and there has been about 2 occurrences of over magnitude 1. And in Miyagi Prefecture, northern part, and Akita, in the internal places, we had the waves of earthquake. And this is going to be the warnings for the disaster prevention, and there are going to be the damages from tsunami, and there are possibilities of damages from tsunami. So please go to safe areas, to higher grounds and inside the buildings. And tsunami comes repeatedly, so that till the tsunami warning is lifted, please stay safe. And for those areas that had a very strong shake, there can be the landslides and the falling stones, so that please be aware of how the earthquake is going to go, and also the rainfalls. And those areas, when there was about 1 week time, so there can be strong earthquakes that can occur frequently. So on those areas that had a very strong shake, so that can be about seismic scale 5 magnitude. And then for those areas, there are possibilities that there can be even stronger shakes, especially for those 2 to 3 days after the earthquake. There can be earthquake that can occur with a very strong shakes, so please be aware of that. And Hokkaido, so Sanriku coastal areas, so we are checking the information as to how it is.
So turning to next page, please. So this is the distribution of the earthquake. So therefore, this is the seismic intensity, and the upper 5 have been observed. And therefore, this is the areas showing these kind of intensity, and therefore, those are the areas with a higher seismic intensity of upper 5 or around 5. Next page, please. So therefore, for the long period motion earthquake, so therefore, or because for the level 3 in the northern Miyagi Prefecture and also inland of Akita Prefecture, and around that area, there have been this long period motion. And turning to next page, please. So therefore, this is the earthquake warnings that have been issued. And therefore, after 19.8, we are able to issue this earthquake warning. And therefore, before the tsunami had arrived, we are able to inform about this earthquake and also the tsunami warning. And this is the past history of the earthquake. And this time, today, this earthquake. So this is the epicenter, and therefore in the surrounding areas there have been a large-scale earthquake in the past. And therefore 1896 there was Meiji Sanriku earthquake. And this is the green area. So therefore in these areas, well, because in 1994 there have been an earthquake in Sanriku areas as well.
So those the earthquake that's predicted to happen, and as for those Iwate Prefecture and the northern part of Iwate coastal area, and in the past, those are the earthquakes that occurred. So next page. And near the epicenter, there has been many earthquakes that occurred repeatedly. So here, the places that occurred is this area in light gray, so that in the past there has been occurrences of the continued earthquakes in this area. For example, in 2015 in Sanriku coastal area, magnitude 6.9, so that 3.2 days later there was magnitude 6.5 earthquake, and 4.5 days later and magnitude 6.4 earthquake that occurred. So that within 1 week there can be occurrences of a large-scale earthquake that repeatedly happen. Please be aware. Next page. And this is us part, but about the information. So we have a link to that. So please refer to those. That's all for the explanation from myself. Thank you so much. And any questions? So you can see the Meteorological Agency news conference, and we would be continuing the information. So now it is going to get dark. So when you have the elderly and young children around you, so please talk to them and don't be hasty so that you can be injured. So please be calm. And for the coastal areas, the earthquakes and tsunami. So at Kuji Port, there was 80 centimeters tsunami, and Iwate Prefecture, Miyako Port, there was 40 centimeters tsunami.
Hachinohe Port, 0.3 meter, Urakawa Town, 0.2 meter, and also in Ishinomaki, Ayukawa, 0.2 meter. So they have already observed the tsunami. And also in Mutsu Sekinehama, and also in Ofunato Port, and also Kamaishi Port, they have observed the tsunami arrivals. So tsunami is arriving, so tsunami will come repeatedly. Therefore, please, it may take, so therefore the tsunami might reach 3 meters high, and therefore please be cautious and please evacuate immediately. So there will be high tide coming, therefore please keep on evacuating. So this is Mr. Shimanaka. So therefore for the press conference by JMA, so therefore those under tsunami warnings, so they have repeatedly mentioned to keep on evacuating. And also they have mentioned about the areas where the tsunami has been observed, and therefore there might be changes in the tsunami height. Well, because usually the tsunami that will arrive later will be much higher. Therefore, please continue to evacuate.
We're coming to you with the latest updates from our NHK World Japan studios in Tokyo. As we've been telling you, more and more tsunami have been observed along the coastline in Iwate Prefecture, Aomori Prefecture, Hokkaido, Miyagi Prefecture as well. These are the areas where tsunami have reached the coastline. Kuji Port, Iwate Prefecture, Miyako Port, also in Iwate, Hachinohe Port, Aomori Prefecture, Urakawa Town, Hokkaido Prefecture, Ishinomaki City's Ayukawa, also in Miyagi, which is in Miyagi Prefecture, Mutsu City's Sekinehama, Aomori Prefecture, Mutsu Ogawara Port, Aomori Prefecture, Ofunato Port in Iwate Prefecture, Kamaishi Port in Iwate Prefecture. These are the areas where tsunami have actually reached the coastline. Once again, Kuji Port in Iwate Prefecture, Miyako Port in Iwate Prefecture, Hachinohe Port in Aomori Prefecture, Urakawa Town, Hokkaido Prefecture, Ishinomaki City's Ayukawa, Miyagi Prefecture, Erimo Town, Hokkaido Prefecture. These are additional places. Erimo Town, Hokkaido Prefecture. Shiraoi Town, also in Hokkaido Prefecture. Mutsu City's Sekinehama, Aomori Prefecture. Mutsu Ogawara Port, Aomori Prefecture. Ofunato Port in Iwate Prefecture. Kamaishi Port in Iwate Prefecture. These are areas that have actually seen tsunami waves reach the coastline. Tsunami have reached the coastline in these areas. We are expecting more tsunami to actually reach the Japanese coastline. You are seeing live video coming in from Hokkaido as well. You can see that the waves are turning very rapidly. We will see more tsunami waves actually approach the coastline because we are seeing more offshore tsunami as well. As we've been telling you, a strong earthquake struck northeastern Japan on Monday. The Japan Meteorological Agency says the magnitude 7.5 quake struck at 4:53 p.m. off the coast of Sanriku. In parts of Aomori Prefecture, it had an intensity of upper 5 on the Japanese scale of 0 to 7. A tsunami warning has been issued for the central Pacific coast of Hokkaido and the Pacific coast of Aomori and Iwate prefectures. Tsunami up to 3 meters high are expected. One 80-centimeter tsunami has struck Kuji Port in Iwate Prefecture. A 40-centimeter tsunami has also struck Miyako Port in Iwate Prefecture. A 30-centimeter tsunami has been observed at Hachinohe Port in Aomori Prefecture. 20-centimeter tsunami were recorded in the town of Urakawa in Hokkaido and the city of Ishinomaki in Miyagi Prefecture. There is also a tsunami advisory for parts of Hokkaido, Aomori, Miyagi, and Fukushima prefectures. The water may reach up to 1 meter in those areas. Japanese Prime Minister Takaichi Sanae spoke to reporters at her office shortly after 5 p.m.
So at around 4:53, there had been an earthquake, and therefore there had been a strong movement, and also at the Iwate Prefecture, and also at the coast of Aomori Prefecture, as well as the Iwate Prefecture and Hokkaido. So those areas which is under the tsunami warning, please evacuate immediately. So the government established a liaison office at the Prime Minister's office, and based on my instruction, they are working diligently to assess the damage, implement emergency disaster response measures such as rescue and relief, and provide timely and accurate information to the public. At this time, we are still confirming the extent of human and material damage, but we will receive detailed reports and proceed with disaster response accordingly.
はい、すみません。今この
Tokyo Electric Power Company says it's confirmed there are no abnormalities at its Fukushima Daiichi and Daini nuclear plants. The operator also says there's been no change in radiation levels around the two sites. Further north, the Tohoku Electric Power Company also says currently there are no abnormalities at either its Higashidori nuclear power plant in Aomori Prefecture or its Onagawa plant in Miyagi Prefecture. Now, the operator of the Tohoku Shinkansen bullet train says as of 5:30 p.m., service has been suspended between Tokyo and Shin-Aomori stations due to the earthquake. The Akita Shinkansen has been suspended between Morioka and Akita stations. All local JR lines in Iwate Prefecture have halted services, and some local JR lines in Hokkaido have stopped services. The Tokaido Shinkansen is operating as normal. Let's get to some updates from the region. We're seeing more and more tsunami observed along the coastline of Kuji Port in Iwate Prefecture, Miyako Port in Iwate Prefecture, also Hachinohe Port in Aomori Prefecture, Urakawa Town, Hokkaido Prefecture, Ishinomaki City's Ayukawa in Miyagi Prefecture, Erimo Town in Hokkaido, Shiraoi Town, also in Hokkaido, Mutsu City's Sekinehama in Aomori Prefecture, Mutsu Ogawara Port, also in Aomori, Ofunato Port, Iwate, and Kamaishi Port, also in Iwate Prefecture. You might have noticed on the screen, as we've been bringing you lots of live video from the region, the area is getting darker. It is harder to see what's happening around the coastline. We have been telling everyone along the coast to stay away. If you are in the areas marked in red or yellow on the screen in front of you on the screen, you must evacuate, stay away from the coastline and go to higher ground. You are risking your life if you do not. It is getting darker outside, harder to see where you're going. Even when you are evacuating, please be careful. Be careful that you do not trip. Be careful of where you're going. Stay safe. Waves can hit repeatedly. They can get higher. Even the areas that have already seen tsunami, observe. This does not mean this is the last. Waves can hit repeatedly. They can get higher. We are seeing more and more tsunami reach the coastline. Again, we have seen tsunami observed in Kuji Port, Iwate Prefecture, Miyako Port, Iwate Prefecture, Hachinohe Port in Aomori Prefecture, Urakawa Town, Hokkaido Prefecture, Ishinomaki Cities, Ayukawa in Miyagi Prefecture, Erimo Town, Hokkaido, also in Hokkaido, Shiraoi Town, Mutsu Cities, Sekinehama in Aomori Prefecture, also in Aomori, Mutsu Ogawara Port. In Iwate Prefecture, Ofunato Port and Kamaishi Port. These are areas that have actually seen tsunami reach the coastline. However, waves can hit again. You must stay on the alert. Waves can hit higher when they come back. There may be more waves to come. If you have seen any tsunami in the region, this does not mean that it's the end of things. While the tsunami warnings and advisories are still in place, you must continue to evacuate and stay alert. You are risking your life if you do not. Call on others to evacuate with you. We're getting more and more video from the areas that have been affected. You can see that it is getting darker outside as we are past 6 p.m. here in Japan, and we are seeing more waves reach the coastline. You can see that waves are churning along the coast. Let's go now to our domestic service with simultaneous interpretation.
So don't go near the sea, and please stay evacuated. And this is a Miyako port, as we have been reporting, so that the visitor centers, people are evacuating to the visitor centers, and the door for the preventing the sea waves is shut. So there are a tsunami that's repeatedly coming, and until the warning is lifted, please stay evacuated. Yes, during the tsunami warning, there are possibilities that tsunami can come repeatedly, and there can be tsunami waves that's higher than the ones that's now observed. And we still do not know how long this tsunami warning is going to continue. So during the tsunami warning, when it is still in place, please stay evacuated in the higher grounds. All right, so here now we would be telling you about the information on the tsunami. So Iwate Prefecture, Kuji Port, that was 80 centimeters, and Iwate Prefecture, Miyako Port, 40 centimeters, Aomori Prefecture, Hachinohe Port, 30 centimeters, Hokkaido, Urakawa Port, 20 centimeters, Ishinomaki, Ayukawa, 20 centimeters, and Hokkaido, Erimocho, 20 centimeters, Hokkaido, Shiraoi was 10 centimeters, and Aomori, Sekinehama, we had observed a tsunami arriving, and Iwate-ken, Ofunato, and Kamaishi, we also observed tsunami. Tsunami can come repeatedly, and it is going to be even higher than now. So please stay alert and stay evacuated in safe areas. Here is Shin Hidaka of Hokkaido, the live picture of the
guys, hit that
Hokkaido
thumbs up,
Shin
share
Hidaka.
this out.
And there are cars that has evacuated to a higher place, and there are cars that's still moving, so we would assume that there are people inside the car. So please continue evacuated.
So we don't know whether there is impact of tsunami. So this is in Hidaka town in Hokkaido Prefecture. So this is the Miyako in Iwate Prefecture. So we are going to see the sunset, and therefore, so we have received the new information. So they have revised the tsunami observations, and they have observed 30 centimeters of tsunami in Urakawa town in Hokkaido. So this is the tsunami observations. Iwate Kuji Port, 80 centimeters. Iwate Miyako Port, 40 centimeters. Aomori Hachinohe Port, 30 centimeters. Hokkaido Urakawa Town, 20 centimeters. Miyagi Ishinomaki Ayukawa, 20 centimeters. Hokkaido Erimo Town, 20 centimeters. Shiraoi Town, Mutsu, Aomori Prefecture, Ofunato, they have already observed tsunami, and therefore we have observed tsunami in wider areas, and there could be much higher tsunami coming. So how do you see the situation? So along the seaside, there have been a tsunami already observed, and there might be much higher tsunami arriving. Therefore, please evacuate to higher ground. And those who had evacuated already, please don't let your guard down, and please keep on evacuating. And there might be much higher tsunami coming. Therefore, please continue to evacuate.
So yes, you should evacuate, and this is the upper 5 on the Richter scale, so that you should be aware of the shaking of the earthquake. So according to the meteorological agency's press conference, there has been characteristic about the earthquakes. In the past, there has been a large-scale earthquakes that continuously happened, and even larger shakes can be observed, movements can be observed. And in Sanriku earthquake that was in November last year, the epicenter was a little bit further this time around, so that I don't think that the prior earthquake of last November is affecting this. And the tsunami warning affected areas, please stay evacuated. Yes, and for the Sanriku earthquake, magnitude 7.5, and then about the earthquake, so about 6 o'clock, there was a meteorological agency press conference that was held, and we had issued tsunami warnings. Tsunami warnings in Hokkaido, coastal areas of Pacific Ocean.
Once again, we're coming to you live from NHK World Japan Studios in Tokyo on tsunami and earthquake breaking news. We have an update on tsunami observations. Kuji Port in Iwate Prefecture at 5:34 p.m. 80 centimeters. Miyako Port also in Iwate at 5:22 40 centimeters. Hachinohe Port in Aomori Prefecture, also in the Tohoku region, at 6:04 p.m. 30 centimeters. And this is new. Urakawa Town in Hokkaido at 6:17 30 centimeters. This wasn't here before. This is an update. Urakawa Town in Hokkaido at 6:17 p.m. 30 centimeters. Now, you may think these numbers are not that high, but even a 50 centimeter tsunami can have a power of up to 200 kilograms on a person's legs, and will make it impossible even for an adult person to stay up straight. So please do not underestimate the power of tsunami. Tsunami are more powerful than regular waves. It's a large body of water. Tsunami observations. Ishinomaki Ayukawa in Miyagi Prefecture at 6:02 p.m. 20 centimeters. And at the bottom of this list, Erimo Town in Hokkaido, the northernmost prefecture of Japan, at 6:08 p.m. 20 centimeters. Again, actually, waves have been observed onshore. Waves have already been observed onshore. And remember, if you're in the area under tsunami warning, which is highlighted in red on the right-hand side map of your screen, waves as high as 3 meters are expected. And also for those areas under tsunami advisory, which is highlighted in yellow on the map, waves of up to 1 meter are expected. So just because we're getting an update on tsunami observations does not mean that these are at the end of it. There will be more waves and higher waves on the way. So please stay on alert and do not go back to where you came from until the JMA, the Japan Meteorological Agency, has lifted the warning and advisory. And right now, both the warning and the advisory are still in effect. So that means you need to keep evacuating, especially if you're in the area under tsunami warning. Again, you need to keep evacuating. Make sure where you are right now is far away from the coastline or far away from any riversides, because they could possibly overflow. And those areas under tsunami warning, waves of up to 3 meters are expected. And so far, we've got the highest number of tsunami height is 80 centimeters at Kuji Port. But again, this is only the numbers from the observation points. So this does not mean that 80 centimeters is the highest wave we have got so far. Remember, waves of up to 3 meters are expected to hit those areas under tsunami warning, highlighted in red. So please keep evacuating and make sure where you are right now is far enough from the coastline or any riversides, because waves could gush farther inland. waves could gush further inland. And if you haven't evacuated yet, please do so right now because you are risking your life if you don't. And do not please waste your time gathering your items or belongings because your life and the lives of those around you are more important than your belongings. And you cannot outrun a tsunami. You cannot outrun a tsunami. So please keep evacuating until while the warning and the advisories are still in effect. We're going over to our domestic service now.
So in the past, there has been occurrences that in the peripheral areas that earthquakes has continued. And for this, in 2015, there was a magnitude 6.9. And then 3.2 days later, there was magnitude 6.5. And 4.5 days later, there was a magnitude 6.4 earthquake that has occurred. So within 1 week, be aware that there can be a large-scale earthquake that can happen. All right, so from Shimanaka-san, so there are important points from the Meteorological Agency press conference. Yes, the biggest message is that please stay evacuated in tsunami warning areas, so in Hokkaido and Tohoku areas. So stay away from the coastal areas. That has been the request from the Meteorological Agency. So the second wave or the third wave can be higher than the first wave. So unless the warnings are lifted, so please stay evacuated. And for the earthquake, that was already mentioned in the press conference, so that there can be occurrences of the falling stones and also the landslides. So please be careful of the rainfall. For 2 or 3 days or to a maximum 1 week, please be aware of the magnitude 5 earthquake. And there has been characteristics that there are areas had repeated earthquakes. From the Meteorological Agency in 2015, there was 6.9 magnitude, and 3 days later there was magnitude 6.5, and about 4 days later there was magnitude 6.4 earthquake. So within 1 week, there can be occurrences of a large-scale earthquake, and stay aware, be aware of that. And for the tsunami warning areas, and for the repeated earthquakes, and for the earthquakes, please stay aware.
So not only tsunami, so there could be some large-scale earthquake coming in within a week or so, and therefore, or because we do have the tsunami observations. And also at Sendai Port, they have observed 20 centimeters of tsunami at Sendai Port. So Kuji Port, 80 centimeters, Miyako Port, 40 centimeters, Hachinohe Port, 30 centimeters, Hokkaido Urakawa Town, 30 centimeters, Ishinomaki Ayukawa, 20 centimeters, Erimo Town in Hokkaido, 20 centimeters. So under tsunami advisory at Sendai Port, they have observed a 20 centimeters of tsunami. Shiraoi Town, 10 centimeters, Mutsu, Ogawara Port, Ofunato Port, Kamaishi Port, they have already observed the tsunami arrivals. So those under the tsunami warning, the highest tsunami might be 3 meters, and also please don't let your guard down. Tsunami will come repeatedly, and there might be much higher tsunami coming, and therefore please continue to evacuate. So looking at tsunami observation, and could you elaborate on this data? So we are able to see large areas being observed tsunami, and therefore there might be large-scale tsunami coming later, and therefore at some regions there might be much higher tsunami coming, and therefore those who are living along the seaside, please evacuate to higher ground immediately.
And for a very wide area, there has been observations of a tsunami. So please look at the lower right-hand corner. So this is the red is a tsunami warning, and yellow is a tsunami alert. And this has been a very wide area. And so those areas that tsunami has not arrived yet, so please stay evacuated. And this is for your reference, but as of 5 p.m., 4.1 degrees Celsius in Erimo of Hokkaido. So in Aomori, Mutsu was 9 degrees and Hachinohe was 11 degrees Celsius. So those people who are going to evacuate, so this is going to be quite chilly in the nighttime. Yes, please be aware. And so during the night, it's going to be quite difficult to stay evacuated. But those people who had evacuated immediately, maybe you did not have your jackets on, but don't go back home to get your jackets. And please stay evacuated, and please take warm drinks or use those things that can warm you and share with the others. So please stay evacuated. Don't go back to your home that in a lower grounds.
So this, we are going to have a live feed from Kamaishi City in Iwate Prefecture. Could you start reporting? So this is Kamaishi from Iwate Prefecture. So we had observed the seismic intensity of 4. So I'm in a higher ground of Tono City in Kamaishi. So according to the city authority, there hadn't been any damage being reported. So because I'm not able to see any changes at the sea level, and they have opened the evacuation center that is elementary school, and we are able to see multiple cars coming to this evacuation center.
You are tuning into NHK's International Broadcasting Service, NHK World Japan's breaking news on earthquake and tsunami in Tohoku region of Japan. A strong earthquake struck Japan's Tohoku region at around 4:53 p.m. Japan time. The Japan Meteorological Agency, or the JMA, says the epicenter was off the Sanriku coast. Its depth was 10 kilometers. The estimated magnitude of the quake was 7.5. Again, the estimated magnitude of the quake was 7.5. And this has triggered tsunami warning and tsunami advisory. And then waves have already been observed on some of the shores. So here's an update on tsunami observations, which is also shown on the screen. Kuji Port in Iwate Prefecture at 5:34 p.m., 80 centimeters. Miyako Port, also in Iwate, at 5:22, 40 centimeters. Hachinohe Port, this is in Aomori Prefecture, at 6:04 p.m., 30 centimeters. Urakawa Town in Hokkaido, 30 centimeters. Now, you may think these numbers are not that high, but even a 50 centimeter of tsunami can have a power of up to 200 kilograms on a person's legs, and it will make it impossible even for an adult person to stay up straight. So what I've been telling you is please do not underestimate the power of tsunami. Again, these have the power of it's beyond what you can imagine. So please stay alert. And especially if you're in areas under tsunami warning, it is very important that you keep evacuating, you keep staying where you are, if that's safe, if that's far enough from coastline or riversides, because they could possibly overflow. And also remember, tsunami warning means waves of up to 3 meters are expected to hit. So just because we're getting 80 centimeter in Kuji Port in Iwate Prefecture does not mean this is the end of it. There will be more waves and higher waves are on the way. So please keep evacuating until the JMA officials lifts the warning as well as the advisory. Now going back to the list of tsunami observations, the second one from the bottom, Ishinomaki Ayukawa in Miyagi Prefecture, 20 centimeters. Erimo Town in Hokkaido at 6:08, 20 centimeters. So these places have already seen the waves in their ports and the shores. And then the waves could be even twice or 3 times higher depending on the geographical situation of the seabed or coastline, even within the same region. So please do not underestimate the power, and it could be waves even higher than 80 centimeters. Now we're switching over to domestic service now.
So there has been the earthquake that hit Aomori, and that was a maximum intensity of upper 5 on the Japanese seismic scale. And Iwate Prefecture and Hokkaido, tsunami warning has been issued in the central part of the Pacific coast and the Pacific coast of Aomori Prefecture. People who are in the area where the tsunami warning has been issued, please evacuate to a safe place, such as higher ground and evacuation buildings, immediately. The government set up a task force at the Crisis Management Center of the Prime Minister's office immediately after the earthquake. According to my instructions, the government is making the utmost efforts to grasp the extent of the damage, take emergency measures such as saving lives and rescue, and providing appropriate and accurate information to the people. At the moment, human and material damage is still being confirmed, but we will receive a detailed report and respond to the disaster. That has been the Prime Minister Takaichi Sanae. So we ask Shimanaka reporter and about the data that has been observed. Can you see? So on the PC screen, can you see this? Yes. Please take a look. And there has been the affected areas. And Miyako Port of Iwate Prefecture. This is the data observed there. And so that is what's been observed there. And from the evening time, the sea level has changed. The blue part, the sea level has risen after the tsunami. And Miyako Port is like that, but let's take a look at another place. This is the Iwate Prefecture, Kuji Port. And the blue line is, there's some variations of about 17 p.m. Yes, 17:20, you see those volatility that started, and now it's still continuing to rise and fall. And this is Iwate Prefecture, but Hokkaido Prefecture, this is Urakawa-cho, and that's the sea level. And after tsunami, yes, it seems that the sea level is changing, and for a large area, the sea level is changing, and we can see that tsunami has already arrived. And here, when this is at high tide, now 18:25, but then Ishinomaki Port and Miyako already passed the high tide, and Fukushima Prefecture was 18 o'clock. Well, this with a tsunami and the high tide, then it's going to arrive at further inland. And for the tsunami warning areas, please stay evacuated.
So we do have the information on the transport. So the tsunami observation have been revised at 40 centimeter of Urakawa town in Hokkaido. They have observed 40 centimeter of tsunami. So Kuji Port 80 centimeter, Miyako Port 40 centimeter, Hokkaido Urakawa town 40 centimeter, Aomori Hachinohe Port 30 centimeter, Ayukawa Ishinomaki 20 centimeter, Erimo town in Hokkaido, Sendai Port 20 centimeter, Soma Port 20 centimeter. So this is in the Soma Port. They have observed 20 centimeter of tsunami. Shiraoi town in Hokkaido 20 centimeter. Ogawara Port in Mutsu 20 centimeter. Mori town in Hokkaido, they have observed a small tsunami. Mutsu Sekinehama, they have observed a tsunami. And also at Ofunato Port and Kamaishi Port, they have already observed the tsunami arrivals. So tsunami is coming, and much higher tsunami will come. Therefore, please continue to evacuate. So it seems that tsunami is coming inland. So it seems that there is a tide coming inland. So it seems there is the waves coming inland. So I thought I was able to see waves coming inland, so I was not able to see that moment. So therefore, well, because of course the tsunami will come inland through the river. So in Tomakomai, they have observed tsunami. So therefore, Tomakomai, so not yet.
So along the Pacific coast, so there are the areas with the tsunami warnings. So there are areas that can have tsunami coming. And for a very wide area on Hokkaido and Tohoku, there are tsunami already arrived. And as you can see, it is getting dark. And for those spots that had strong shakes, earthquakes, then those people, please be aware and stay evacuated. And in any case, please continue to be evacuated to high grounds, away from the sea and river. This is Hokkaido Tomakomai area, so it is getting quite dark now. So those people must be concerned and anxiety. And where there are people who are elderly and younger children, and please talk to each other and don't be hasty. You might have damaged yourself. So please stay calm and talk to people around you. And so about the effects on the transportation, there has been some effects on the transportation.
So the Tokaido line, so therefore this is the Tokaido Shinkansen. So this is inside the Tokaido Shinkansen. So therefore there have been a power stoppage. So therefore they're going to have an emergency stop. So this is within the Tokaido Shinkansen. So the Shinkansen bullet train suspended due to the earthquake. So there have been a power stoppage. So there is a blackout. So this is the Tohoku Shinkansen. So it seems they have suspended the operation. So according to the JR, Tohoku Shinkansen, so all the lines have been suspended, Akita and Morioka, and also Yamagata Shinkansen has suspended services between Tokyo and Fukushima stations. So they cannot forecast when to start operation. So therefore, there have been an earthquake warning that have been issued. Well, because I have a business tomorrow, therefore I want to go back to home today. So, well, because according to the Shinkansen, well, because there have been a delay of more than 2 hours, and therefore I'm thinking, so I'm going to monitor the situation using the TV information. So, Akita Shinkansen and all local JR lines in Iwate Prefecture have halted services, and they are not able to foresee when to resume.
So new information that came in. So the new tsunami that had been observed, Hachinohe Port, 40 centimeters of tsunami in Aomori Prefecture. So Hachinohe Port in Aomori Prefecture observed 40 centimeters tsunami. So Kuji Port, 80 centimeters. Iwate Prefecture, Miyako Port, 40 centimeters, Hokkaido, Urakawa-cho, 40 centimeters, and Hachinohe Port, 40 centimeters of tsunami. So those are the tsunami that has been raised higher. Shinomaki, Ayukawa is 20 centimeters, Hokkaido, Erimocho, 20 centimeters, Sendai Port, 20 centimeters, the Soma Port, 20 centimeters of Fukushima Prefecture, Hokkaido, Shiraoicho, 20 centimeters, Aomori Prefecture, Mutsuwagara Port, 20 centimeters, and in the Hokkaido, Moricho, small tsunami, and Mutsu Sekinehama tsunami has arrived, and Ofunato, we observed the arrival of tsunami, and also at Akamaishi Port. So for a large area, we have observed tsunami arrivals, and it is going to be even higher. There is a possibility that it would be even higher. And for the tsunami warning areas, please be aware.
Once again, we're coming to you live from here in NHK World Japan Studios in Tokyo. A strong earthquake struck northeastern Japan on Monday. The Japan Meteorological Agency says the magnitude. Now, the Chief Cabinet Secretary of Japan is speaking to the reporters. Let's listen in through simultaneous interpretation.
So I would like to give. So at 6, there had been a strong earthquake that had hit around 4:53, and the maximum intensity of upper 5 have been observed in Aomori Prefecture, and for Iwate Prefecture, Hokkaido, and the Pacific Coast of Aomori, tsunami warning has been issued. And there could be a tsunami of 3 meters high. And also in Hokkaido Pacific areas, central part of the Pacific Coast, and also Aomori, around the Japan Sea, Fukushima, and Miyagi Prefecture, the tsunami advisory have been issued. And those areas affected by tsunami warning, please evacuate to higher ground or higher building. Already at Kuji Port, they have observed tsunami of 80 centimeter. Hachinohe Port, 40 centimeter of tsunami has been observed. So according to the Onagawa for the nuclear plant, there hadn't been any abnormality. So at this moment, there hasn't been any damage. However, we are going to monitor the situation. And therefore, so Prime Minister at 4:55, she instructed to make and grasp the extent of the damage, and therefore and provide the evacuation information, appropriate and accurate information to the people. And also it is necessary to protect from any damage. So the Crisis Management Center at the Prime Minister's office have been immediately being created, and therefore the Prime Minister had instructed to save lives and rescue and provide appropriate and accurate information to the people. From 7:30, we are going to have the cabinet meeting with the related ministers, and we are going to grasp the human and material damage, and we are going to have a close communication with local authority, and therefore with the authority we are going to provide the emergency measures as saving lives and rescue, and also along the fault, and we are going to monitor the situation whether it's related to the late earthquake. And to the national public, please prepare for the earthquake of seismic intensity of upper 5, and also using the telecommunications like internet, please gather the information to evacuate.
And related to this tsunami, there has been a tsunami warning, so about 3 meters, a tsunami can be expected. So please stay safe and evacuate to higher ground and evacuation buildings immediately. So there can be the second wave and third wave that's even higher than the first wave of a tsunami. And please stay aware of tsunami information until the warnings are lifted. And please stay safe. And that is all for myself. If there are any questions, I'd like to take them. NHK Shimizu, so related, so lifeline and the public transportation, and if there are effects, I'd like to ask when they can be resumed of the services. About the lifeline, as of now, stoppage of electricity in the Tohoku area has already occurred, about 100 households, and we are now trying to restore the power outage. And for the public transportation, for Shinkansen, there has been some stoppage of suspension of the services. And for the highways, there has been some areas that is suspended. And near the epicenter, for the nuclear facilities, there has been no reports of abnormalities. All right, so we take these questions.
So, because Japan Meteorological Agency is observing the situation, and therefore, is there any higher chances that we are going to have a large-scale earthquake? And therefore, I'm going to ask you, and also I'd like to ask you whether you're going. So the JMA is going to decide. So JMA is observing and monitoring this earthquake, and therefore on top of that, so if the information is being disclosed, we are going to maintain our economic activity and also continue our disaster prevention measures.
That was Japanese Chief Cabinet Secretary, speaking to the reporters, and we carry that to you live through simultaneous interpretation. And again, a strong earthquake struck northeastern Japan on Monday. The Japan Meteorological Agency says the magnitude 7.5 quake struck at 4:53 p.m. off the coast of Sanriku. In parts of Aomori Prefecture, it had an intensity of upper 5 on the Japanese scale of 0 to 7. A tsunami warning has been issued for the central Pacific coasts of Hokkaido and the Pacific coast of Aomori and Iwate prefectures. Tsunami up to 3 meters high are expected. One 80-centimeter tsunami has struck Kuji Port in Iwate prefecture. A 40-centimeter tsunami has also struck Miyako Port in Iwate Prefecture. A 30-centimeter tsunami has been observed at Hachinohe Port in Aomori Prefecture. 20-centimeter tsunami were recorded in the town of Urakawa in Hokkaido, the city of Ishinomaki and Sendai Port in Miyagi Prefectures. There's also a tsunami advisory for parts of Hokkaido, Aomori, Miyagi, and Fukushima prefectures. The water may reach up to 1 meter in those areas. Long tremors that could rock high-rise buildings have been recorded in Tohoku. The Japan Meteorological Agency calls this long-period ground motion. It affects people on higher floors. A 4-level scale ranks their intensity. Class 3 tremors make it difficult to remain standing. These were felt in the town of Wakuya in Miyagi Prefecture and the city of Yokote in Akita Prefecture. Experts say they can be strong enough to topple furniture. Once again, a strong earthquake struck Japan's Tohoku region at around 4:53 p.m.
Hey, hit that thumbs up and share this out, guys.
The Japan Meteorological Agency says the epicenter was off the Sanriku coast. Its depth was 10 kilometers. The estimated magnitude of the quake was 7.5. Again, the estimated magnitude
3 meters
of the
is almost
quake
10 feet.
was 7.5 5. And this has triggered a tsunami warning and a tsunami advisory in the Tohoku region of Japan. And we're getting some information on tsunami observations, meaning waves have actually hit the shore. Waves have actually hit the shores. Kuji Port in Iwate at 5:34 p.m., 80 centimeters. And on the screen, we're getting some more numbers. Ofunato Port in Iwate and Kamaishi Port in Iwate, both the waves have already reached. And we cannot emphasize enough that under a tsunami warning, those areas waves of up to 3 meters are expected. So just because we're getting waves of 80 centimeters and 40 centimeters doesn't mean this is the end of it. More waves and higher waves are on the way. So please keep evacuating until the warning and the advisory is lifted. So we'll keep you updated as more information comes in. So please do stay tuned with NHK World Japan. More information.
All right, so what we know so far is Japan has had a 7.5 earthquake and an aftershock, I believe, of 5.7. They have a warning for a 3-meter tsunami, which has not hit yet. 3 meters is almost 10 feet. There is also the possibility of even more tsunamis after the one that we are looking for to come in now. So we're going to continue to cover this and give it to you as we get it. Again, some small waves have come in. The big one they are expecting has not as of yet. Again, we're talking about a 10-foot wave, 3 meters, 10 foot, same difference. So if you have not already, hit that thumbs up, share this out on your social media. We were the first U.S. news organization to start the coverage here of this. Yeah, no worries, guys. Real news, real time, no BS. That's what we're all about. We haven't gotten this. This all just happened a little while ago. We haven't gotten any information on damage yet. Again, this just happened not that long ago. Are you glad to hear it, Rabbit? And we're pulling in the audio feed from NHK World. We have an agreement with NHK that we share each other's content. We worked with NHK on the border when we were down at Eagle Pass and got to know them very well. So we greatly appreciate their feed. Yeah, I think they're taking a break, but they'll be back shortly. This is a look at Tokyo. Yeah, they said there's a warning for more earthquakes. They didn't say potentially a bigger one. Yeah, the sun has just set. It was a 7.4, 7.5. So share it all out. Share it on your social media. Well, the quake was just probably an hour and a half or so ago, not that long ago. As soon as it hit, we went live, and we've been live for an hour and 8 minutes. So not long before we went live did it happen. So again, they are awaiting a 3-meter tsunami. Some waves have already come in some areas, but not all. And they are still awaiting a possible even bigger earthquake. They don't know exactly when that's going to transpire. They're still expecting the 3-meter tsunami, and there could be even larger ones. That 3:25 a.m., is that Central or Eastern Standard Time? So we're waiting for our feed to come back from NHK for the audio. Should be coming back momentarily here. All right, so yeah, almost 2 hours then. That's when you got the tsunami alert? Was it 3:25 a.m.? All right, roger that, Red Dead. Hope they're fine. Yep, we're doing well, thank you.
が以前発表された際もの様子です。日没時刻を過ぎました。辺りはすっかり暗くなりました。街の明かりが目立つようになっています。沖合から陸の方に向けて白波が、迫っている様子が確認できます。現在このエリアには北海道太平洋沿岸西部苫小牧市注意報が発表されています。このエリアは津波の第1波到達時刻を迎えています。西北海道太平洋沿岸西部苫小牧市です。このエリアには現在津波注意報が発表されています。北海道太平洋沿岸西部苫小牧市、街の明かりが目立つようになってきました。すでに日没時刻は、30分ほど過ぎています。右に見えるのは、住宅、そして石油の備蓄基地も、ございます。すぐ近くに海があるという状況です。このエリアには津波注意報が発表されています。今あなたがいる場所は本当に安全な場所かどうか確認してぜひ行動していただければと思います。絶対に海や川沿岸などには様子を見に行ったりはしないでください。現在上空北海道太平洋沿岸西部苫小牧市の上空です。時刻は午後6時49分です。北海道苫小牧市には、津波注意報が発表されています。画面の手前にあるのが石油の備蓄基地、そして奥には苫小牧市街が見えています。北海道太平洋沿岸西部苫小牧市です。手前に見えるのが備蓄基地、そして奥に見えているのが北海道苫小牧市の市街になります。苫小牧市街の様子を映しています。なんとなく聞こえました。緑川が公園ですね。はい。北海道太平洋沿岸西部苫小牧市の様子です。画面手前に見えているのが石油の備蓄基地です。そして奥が苫小牧市街になります。その様子を映しています。緑ヶ丘公園、はい。はい。 これそうです。これはなるほど。明るいのがはい。そうです。これ緑川公園。はい。車いますね。はい。ちょっと待ってください。はい、地震発生からおよそ1時間が経ちました。北海道太平洋沿岸西部苫小牧市の様子です。海沿いに、住宅が広がる町ですが、こちらは緑ヶ丘公園です。先日津波警報が発表された際にはここに複数の車が避難したということがありました。この時間も複数の車が駐車場に止まっているのが確認できます。10台、15台ほどでしょうか、複数の車が高台の緑ヶ丘公園に来ている様子が確認できます。避難してきたのでしょうか、複数の車が止まっているのが確認できます。市の中心部からは近いところです。海抜はおよそ35メートルほどの高台となっている緑ヶ丘公園です。市の中心部から近く海抜35メートルほどの高台となっている緑ヶ丘公園です。北海道太平洋沿岸西部苫小牧市です。北海道太平洋沿岸西部苫小牧市です。現在時刻は6時55分です。
3 meters is about 10 feet.
駐車場に止まっているのが確認できます。時刻は午後6時58分です。地震発生からおよそ1時間が経ちました。複数の車が高台緑ヶ丘公園にある駐車場に一番もう1台車がやってきました。避難のためでしょうか、やってきているのが確認できます。津波注意報が発表されている北海道苫小牧市です。この時間
We don't know when it's due to hit. Could be any minute. Yeah, water gets sucked out in some cases, but not all. Some reports we have say it was a 7.5. right, so we're seeing as far as the earthquakes, a 7.7, a 4.6, a 5.4, a 4.4, a 4.3, and a 4.8, and a 4.1. So we've had 6 aftershocks already.
on Monday. Tsunami of up to 80 centimeters high were recorded in multiple areas of Hokkaido and Tohoku. The Japan Meteorological Agency says the magnitude 7.7 quake struck before 5 p.m. off the coast of Sanriku. In parts of Aomori Prefecture, it had an intensity of upper 5 on the Japanese scale of 0 to 7. A tsunami warning has been issued for the central Pacific coast of Hokkaido and the Pacific coast of Aomori and Iwate prefectures. One 80-centimeter tsunami has struck Kuji Port in Iwate prefecture. 3 40-centimeter tsunami also struck Miyako Port in Iwate prefecture, the town of Urakawa in Hokkaido, and Hachinohe Port in Aomori prefecture. Multiple 20 to 30-centimeter tsunami were recorded in other areas of Hokkaido and Tohoku. There's also a tsunami advisory still in effect for parts of Hokkaido, Aomori, Miyagi, and Fukushima prefectures. Now, long tremors with the potential to rock high-rise buildings have also been recorded in Tohoku. The Japan Meteorological Agency calls this long-period ground motion. It affects people on higher floors. A 4-level scale ranks their intensity. Class 3 tremors make it difficult to remain standing. These were felt in the town of Wakuya in Miyagi Prefecture and the city of Yokote in Akita Prefecture. Experts say these tremors can be strong enough to topple furniture. Officials have issued an alert for a potential mega-quake in northern Japan following the magnitude 7.7 quake on Monday. They say residents should prepare for disaster and listen for any updates. The Japan Meteorological Agency says there's an increased probability of a mega-quake along 2 deep-sea trenches in the Pacific Ocean. The alert covers 182 cities and towns from Hokkaido to Chiba. Japanese Prime Minister Takaichi Sanae spoke to reporters at her office in Tokyo at around 7:20 p.m.
In areas subject to tsunami warnings, please stay on high ground or in evacuation buildings and pay close attention to tsunami-related information until the warning is lifted. Also, please maintain a safe environment, carry emergency supplies with you at all times, and take special precautions in conjunction with the issuance of warning for a mega earthquake off the coast of Sanriku and Hokkaido.
Now, Japan's government says more than 170,000 people have been instructed to evacuate as of 6:45 p.m. in areas affected by the earthquake. That includes people in Hokkaido, Aomori, Iwate, Miyagi, and Fukushima prefectures. Fire departments in hard-hit areas said so far 3 people have been confirmed injured. The East Japan Railway Company says it suspended some Shinkansen bullet train services due to the earthquake. The operator says it stopped the Tohoku Shinkansen between Tokyo and Shin Aomori stations. But it plans to resume operations between Tokyo and Hachinohe at around 8:30 p.m. The Yamagata Shinkansen has halted services between Tokyo and Fukushima stations. And the Akita Shinkansen has been suspended between Tokyo and Morioka stations. But JRE says operations have been resumed between Morioka and Akita stations with delays and stoppages. NHK World's Mogi Daisuke is at Tokyo Station for us. So Daisuke, what is it like there?
Hi, Raja. As you said, the bullet trains heading north have been suspended. We still don't know when those will be getting back to normal. As you can imagine, it has left many passengers in a tough spot. Most of the tourists we spoke to are not going north. Many are heading west towards hot spots like Kyoto. But they told me news of the quake still frightened them. It made them worried about the rest of their trip. But we did find one American tourist who had plans to go to Tohoku tonight. But of course, that is not happening. Like many, he said he's going back to his Tokyo hotel for now. Back to you.
Daisuke, thank you very much for that update. Next, Tokyo Electric Power Company says there are no abnormalities at its Fukushima Daiichi and Dai-2 nuclear plants. The operator also says there's been no change in radiation levels around the 2 sites. Further north, the Tohoku Electric Power Company also says there are no abnormalities at either its Higashidori nuclear power plant in Aomori Prefecture or its Onagawa plant in Miyagi Prefecture. Recyclable Fuel Storage Company says so far there have been no reports of abnormalities at the interim storage facility for spent nuclear fuel in Mutsu City, Aomori Prefecture. And also in Aomori Prefecture, Japan Nuclear Fuel Limited says there have been no reports of abnormalities at the spent nuclear fuel reprocessing plant in Rokkasho Village. The companies say there have been no changes in the radiation levels at monitoring posts around those facilities. Once again, a strong earthquake struck northeastern Japan Monday, and tsunami of up to 80 centimeters high were recorded in multiple areas of Hokkaido and Tohoku. The JMA says the magnitude 7.7 quake struck before 5 p.m. off the coast of Sanriku. In parts of Aomori Prefecture, it had an intensity of upper 5 on the Japanese scale of 0 to 7. A tsunami warning has been issued for the central Pacific coast of Hokkaido and the Pacific coast of Aomori and Iwate prefectures. An 80-centimeter tsunami has struck Kuji Port in Iwate Prefecture. 3 40-centimeter tsunami also struck Miyako Port in Iwate Prefecture, the town of Urakawa in Hokkaido, as well as Hachinohe Port in Aomori Prefecture. Multiple 20 to 30-centimeter tsunami were recorded in other areas of Hokkaido and Tohoku. There's also a tsunami advisory still in effect for parts of Hokkaido, Aomori, Miyagi, and Fukushima prefectures. Long tremors with the potential to rock high-rise buildings have also been recorded in the Tohoku region. The JMA calls this long-period ground motion. It affects people on higher floors. A 4-level scale ranks their intensity. Class 3 tremors make it difficult to remain standing. And these were felt in the town of Wakuya in Miyagi Prefecture and the city of Yokote in Akita Prefecture. Experts say these tremors can be strong enough to topple furniture. Officials have issued an alert for a potential mega-quake in northern Japan following the magnitude 7.7 quake Monday. They say residents should prepare for disaster and listen for any updates. The JMA says there's an increased probability of a mega-quake along 2 deep-sea trenches in the Pacific Ocean. The alert covers 182 cities and towns from Hokkaido to Chiba. Japan's Prime Minister Takaichi Sanae spoke to reporters at her office in Tokyo around 7:20 p.m.
In areas subject to tsunami warnings, please stay on high ground or in evacuation buildings and pay close attention to tsunami-related information until the tsunami warning is lifted. Also, please maintain a safe environment, carry emergency supplies with you, and take special precautions in conjunction with the issuance of warning for a potential subsequent earthquake for about a week.
Japan's government also says more than 170,000 people have been instructed to evacuate as of 6:45 p.m. in areas affected by the quake. That includes people in Hokkaido, Aomori, Iwate, Miyagi, and Fukushima prefectures. Fire departments in hard-hit areas said so far 3 people have been confirmed injured. Now, those were the headlines for this hour. That's all for this edition of NHK Newsline. We will keep you updated on the situation about the earthquake, so please do stay with us.
right, folks, they're not giving us a whole lot more on this. We're hoping they will, but not thus far.
Hello, and thank you for joining us on this edition of NHK Newsline. I'm Raja Pradhan with the news from Tokyo. A strong earthquake struck northeastern Japan on Monday. Tsunami of up to 80 centimeters high were recorded in multiple areas of Hokkaido and Tohoku. The Japan Meteorological Agency says the magnitude 7.7 quake struck before 5 p.m. off the coast of Sanriku. In parts of Aomori Prefecture, it had an intensity of upper 5 on the Japanese scale of 0 to 7. A tsunami warning had been issued for the central Pacific coast of Hokkaido and the Pacific coast of Aomori and Iwate prefectures, but it's been lifted. A tsunami advisory is now in place for those areas, along with Miyagi and Fukushima prefectures, where one was already in place. One 80-centimeter tsunami has struck Kuji Port in Iwate prefecture. 3 40-centimeter tsunami also struck Miyako Port in Iwate prefecture, the town of Urakawa in Hokkaido, and Hachinohe Port in Aomori prefecture. Multiple 20 to 30-centimeter tsunami were recorded in other areas of Hokkaido and Tohoku. Long tremors with the potential to rock high-rise buildings have also been recorded in Tohoku. The JMA calls this long-period ground motion. It affects people on higher floors. A 4-level scale ranks their intensity. Class 3 tremors make it difficult to remain standing. And these were felt in the town of Wakuya in Miyagi Prefecture and the city of Yokote in Akita Prefecture. Experts say these tremors can be strong enough to topple furniture. Now, Japan's government issued an alert warning a mega-quake is possible after the powerful trembler shook northeastern Japan. The message urges residents to prepare for another big seismic event possible in the same area. The Japan Meteorological Agency and the Cabinet Office made the comments at a news conference Monday evening.
Based on statistics of earthquakes that have occurred globally to date, there is approximately a 1% probability that a large-scale earthquake of magnitude 8 or higher will occur within the next week. While not a certainty, please take disaster preparedness measures to protect your own life.
The advisory covers 182 municipalities in the prefectures of Hokkaido, Aomori, Iwate, Miyagi, Fukushima, Ibaraki, and Chiba. Authorities are urging residents in potentially affected areas to be continuously prepared to evacuate quickly.
Specifically, this includes confirming evacuation shelters and routes, means of contacting family members, and your emergency stockpiles. In addition, following this information announcement, we ask that you take special precautions for about 1 week, such as maintaining readiness to evacuate at any time and keeping emergency supplies with you at all times.
Officials also urge people to seek correct information and always refrain from spreading fake news. Japanese Prime Minister Takaichi Sanae spoke to reporters at her office in Tokyo at around 7:20 p.m.
Please maintain readiness to evacuate immediately and carry emergency items at all times for about a week as special preparations for the announcement of further earthquake warnings. Please continue social and economic activities. In coastal areas in particular, it is important to evacuate immediately when a tremor is felt or a tsunami warning has been issued.
Meanwhile, Japan's government also says more than 170,000 people have been instructed to evacuate as of 7:45 p.m. in areas affected by the earthquake. That includes people in Hokkaido, Aomori, Iwate, Miyagi, and Fukushima prefectures. Fire departments in hard-hit areas say so far 2 people have been confirmed injured. And the East Japan Railway Company says it suspended some Shinkansen bullet train services due to the quake. The operator says it stopped the Tohoku Shinkansen between Tokyo and Shin Aomori stations. but it plans to resume operations between Tokyo and Hachinohe at around 8:30 p.m. The Yamagata Shinkansen has halted services between Tokyo and Fukushima stations. And the Akita Shinkansen has been suspended between Tokyo and Morioka stations. But JR East says operations have been resumed between Morioka and Akita stations with delays and stoppages. And earlier, I spoke to NHK World's Mogi Daisuke, who reported on what it was like at Tokyo Station.
The bullet trains heading north have been suspended. We still don't know when those will be getting back to normal. As you can imagine, it has left many passengers in a tough spot. Most of the tourists we spoke to are not going north. Many are heading west towards hot spots like Kyoto. But they told me news of the quake still frightened them. It made them worried about the rest of their trip. But we did find one American tourist who had plans to go to Tohoku tonight. But of course, that is not happening. Like many, he said he's going back to his Tokyo hotel for now.
Now, Tokyo Electric Power Company says there are no abnormalities at its Fukushima Daiichi and Dai-2 nuclear plants. The operator also says there's been no change in radiation levels around the two sites. Further north, the Tohoku Electric Power Company also says there are no abnormalities at either its Higashidori nuclear power plant in Aomori Prefecture or its Onagawa plant in Miyagi Prefecture. Recyclable Fuel Storage Company says so far there have been no reports of abnormalities at the interim storage facility for spent nuclear fuel in Mutsu City, Aomori Prefecture. Also in Aomori Prefecture, Japan Nuclear Fuel Limited says there have been no reports of abnormalities at the spent nuclear fuel reprocessing plant in Rokkasho Village. The companies say there have been no changes in the radiation levels at monitoring posts around those facilities. We turn now to other news. U.S. President Donald Trump says delegates are returning to Pakistan for another round of talks with Iran. But it's unclear if they'll happen, with Tehran saying it refuses to negotiate. The White House tells NHK Vice President J.D. Vance, Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, and Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner will attend the negotiations. Pakistani authorities are stepping up security in Islamabad. Police are setting up checkpoints and ramping up patrols. Traffic is also closed in the area that held the first round of talks. But Iran's state-run media says Tehran is not coming to the table. It cited several factors, including what it calls Washington's excessive demands and the ongoing naval blockade. That blockade was tested over the weekend. The United States says it captured an Iranian-flagged cargo ship in the Gulf of Oman.
Vacate your engine room. We're prepared to subject you to disabling fire.
Central Command, or CENTCOM, says the ship was trying to sail towards an Iranian port. It claims it issued repeated warnings over a 6-hour period. The U.S. destroyer then fired several rounds into the ship's engine room. Marines later boarded the vessel, which remains in U.S. custody. It's believed to be the first time the U.S. has used force to enforce its blockade. Iran's top joint military command addressed the incident in a statement Monday. It accused the U.S. of violating the ceasefire by firing at a commercial ship. It also threatened to retaliate against what it called armed piracy by the U.S. military. Iranian forces reportedly responded with drone attacks on several U.S. military vessels. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is expressing strong concern about a U.S. decision to lift sanctions on some Russian crude oil and petroleum products. Washington's move also drew opposition from senior European officials. Zelensky wrote on Sunday, "The continued easing of sanctions fuels the Russian leadership's illusion that they can continue the war." He pointed out more than 110 tankers from Moscow's so-called shadow fleet are currently at sea, carrying over 12 million tons of Russian oil. Zelensky said the oil could be sold for $10 billion, and the money would be directly converted into new strikes against Ukraine. The U.S. Treasury Department said on Friday it was allowing countries to carry out transactions of Russian crude oil and petroleum products currently at sea. Washington this month had reimposed sanctions on the commodities after an earlier waiver had expired. And going back to our top story, a strong earthquake struck northeastern Japan Monday. Tsunami of up to 80 centimeters high were recorded in multiple areas of Hokkaido and Tohoku. The Japan Meteorological Agency says the magnitude 7.7 quake struck before 5 p.m. off the coast of Sanriku. In parts of Aomori Prefecture, it had an intensity of upper 5 on the Japanese scale of 0 to 7. A tsunami warning had been issued for the central Pacific coast of Hokkaido and the Pacific coast of Aomori and Iwate prefectures, but it has now been lifted. A tsunami advisory is now in place for those areas, along with Miyagi and Fukushima prefectures, where one was already in place. A 80-centimeter tsunami has struck Kuji Port in Iwate prefecture. 3 40-centimeter tsunami also struck Miyako Port in Iwate Prefecture, the town of Urakawa in Hokkaido, and Hachinohe Port in Aomori Prefecture. Multiple 20 to 30-centimeter tsunami were recorded in other areas of Hokkaido and Tohoku. Long tremors with the potential to rock high-rise buildings have also been recorded in the Tohoku region. The JMA calls this long-period ground motion. It affects people on higher floors. A 4-level scale ranks their intensity. Class 3 tremors make it difficult to remain standing. And these were felt in the town of Wakuya in Miyagi Prefecture and the city of Yokote in Akita Prefecture. Experts say these tremors can be strong enough to topple furniture. Japan's government issued an alert warning a mega-quake is possible after the powerful trembler shook northeastern Japan. The message urges residents to prepare for another big seismic event possible in the same area. The Japan Meteorological Agency and the Cabinet Office made the comments at a news conference Monday evening.
Based on global statistics of earthquakes today, there is approximately a 1% probability that a mega earthquake of magnitude 8 or higher will occur within the next week. While not a certainty, please take disaster preparedness measures to protect your own life.
The advisory covers 182 municipalities in the prefectures of Hokkaido, Aomori, Iwate, Miyagi, Fukushima, Ibaraki, and Chiba. Authorities are urging residents in potentially affected areas to be continuously prepared to evacuate quickly.
Specifically, this includes confirming evacuation shelters and routes, means of contacting family members, and your emergency stockpiles. In addition, following this information announcement, we ask that you take special precautions for about 1 week, such as maintaining readiness to evacuate at any time and keeping emergency supplies with you at all times.
Officials also urged people to seek correct information and always refrain from spreading fake news. And next, here's a 3-day outlook on the weather for selected cities around the globe. That wraps up this edition of NHK Newsline. I'm Raja Pradhan in Tokyo. We'll be back with the latest at the top of the hour, so please do stay with us.